Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with my BattleMech collection. I'm going to talk about the various mechs and what they do and other tactical stuff. So I'm kind of easing my way back into content creation, so bear with me as I try my best to do another video with the camera. Alright, so let's start off with the mechs from BattleTech, A Game of Armored Combat. I've got the 8 mechs split into two kind of makeshift lances. I'm not sure how well balanced they are. Um, we can talk about them and figure it out from there. So first off, we've got the Locust. 20 tons, fast. It is the iconic light mech. Um, the most basic design is two medium lasers and two small lasers. It's got a 8 walk, which is a 12 run. It can run and fire all its lasers and not care about heat as long as um, it still has all of its heat sinks. It is, however, lightly armored, so a well placed uh, large laser hit will will tear it up. So it's probably going to take a few hits. But what it'll be is a PPC hit. Will tear it up if you can hit. If you can hit this thing at top speed, it's getting a +4 to be hit. Yeah, have fun with that. There are other variants for the Locusts that use machine guns, LRMs, streak SRMs. The missile boats are less armor, so you want to be going as fast as possible all the time with the Locust. Okay, put that away for a sec. Let's go to the Commando from Netherlands. I'm hoping the focus works decently. The Commando is a 25 tonner, so lightweight. 6'9", walk run. So if it's going full speed, it's going to be hard to hit by 3. Its armor is still kind of low though. The 2D is the Commando 2D is a SRM6, SRM4, and a medium laser. It gets up close. It gets within a few hexes of you and just unloads missiles and more missiles. It's gonna hurt. Other variants. Um, got the two SRM6s, a flamer, and a medium laser. Which, yeah, SRM6s, SRMs are just heat generators in general. Like if you took the basic commando and fired everything while running, you're gonna overheat by 2. You can always skip a turn and fire in the medium laser. Yes. The the 3A with its two SRM6s and a flamer and a medium laser probably going to be running and firing the two SRMs or the flamer and the medium laser. Or the or one of the SRMs and the two lesser heat guns, but overheating by 2 if you're running. It's the 3A is kind of a weird one, but I mean, if you really need to buy time, you can just run somewhere out of sight. Let the heat wear off. Uh, the 5S has the SRM6 with Artemis 4, a Streak SRM2, and a beam laser. That one's handling heat a little bit better. All right, those are those variants. If you're ever curious about more like weird variants for mechs, um, look up sarna.net. Sarna. I forget which house that planet's in. I want to say it's either Free Worlds League, mm, Capellan, one of the two. But yeah, they're just a big resource of BattleTech knowledge. Okay, next up we got the Shadowhawk. It is a 55 ton, very comfortably medium weight. Yeah, it seems like 55 tons is like the kind of almost happy medium range. The 2H is a SRM2, an LRM5, and an HC5 enemy laser, which with 12 heat sinks, um, yeah, I could run and fire everything and not have a problem. Then again, if it's the LRM5 and the AC5 are longer range, um, and they have minimum range. So the stuff with minimum range, you're probably not gonna be using up close unless you absolutely have to anyway. Also, the Shadowhawk is a 5.8-3. It can jump. If it were to jump that fold 3 and fire everything, um, that's only 11 heat. Yeah, because minimum heat gain for jumping is either 3. The heat gain for jumping is 3, or however distance you go with jumping. It's it could still fire everything, but if it's within those minimums, it's gonna be having some issues. Yes. Let me talk about weapons for a moment. There are like three major kinds of weapons in this game. You've got the ballistic weapons, which take very little heat but require a considerable amount of ammunition, and they come in various ranges, from the very short machine guns to the longer range autocannons. But the autocannons have like minimums. Um, Laser weapons or energy weapons, you don't need ammo for them. You just need to have the heat, the ability to sink the heat. And I don't think those ones have minimums except for like the PPC, I think. Those also include flamethrowers. They're shortened to another word that um, I feel kind of weird saying it as a kid from the 90s because I know yeah, we'll leave it there. Um, but yeah, if you're ever out of bullets and missiles for your other guns, lasers are the way to go. Speaking of missiles, missile weapons. They usually have LRMs usually have the minimums, and it takes a little less heat to work with to make use of. SRMs are going to be shorter range, but they're going to generate more heat. Either way, um, the thing with missiles is there's no guarantee all of them are going to hit. Unless I want to say it's Artemis. It's Artemis that guarantees that they hit. No, it's Artemis that's +2. Streak is what makes them hit. Streak missiles, either they all hit or the weapon doesn't fire at all. And if they, yeah, yeah, with missiles they just you have to hope some enough of them hit to do enough damage in one location to blow up a big enough hole. If you don't care about hitting a single location, missiles are fine. Have fun dealing with ECM though, if someone actually remembered to run ECM. Anyway, um, I forgot. Other variants for the Shadowhawk include, let's see here, the 2D2 goes with Streak SRMs instead, and a pair of medium lasers. Yeah, that's the only other variant showing up on that one. If you're on Sarna, you'll see something called apocryphal variants, which are not canon to the game, but are kind of oddball mechs to do some interesting things. They were playable. It might be like online mech for MechWarrior online. Anyway, Wolverine, another 55 tonner that I personally like, thanks to MechWarrior 5. Um, the 6M is a 6M version is two medium lasers, a large laser, and an SRM6. Fairly close range. Um, I want to say decently armored. It's also a 5.85, so it can jump if needed. Uh, Firing all its weapons versus heat sinks. It's got, let's see, if we use the full jump and the lasers and the SRMs versus 14 heat sinks, that's going to overheat by one, which is not too bad. Or relocate with the with jumping and fire a large laser and dissipate a heat. Yeah, heat is a beast to manage in this game. If you're not careful, you risk less movement, modifiers to hit, potential shutdown, potential ammunition explosion. Yeah, yeah, it's a pain. Oh yeah, other Wolverine variants. The 6R is, let's see here. This one drops down to just a single medium laser, but um it drops all but one medium laser, and then it adds in the AC5, which which can put a decent size hole in something. The 7D, which is the um that hidden mech in 5, that finding it is like one of the best things that can happen to you in the game. You get it early, and it's just a nice thing to have. It goes with a medium pulse laser and an ultra AC5 while keeping the SRM6. So it's got a good set of weapons, decent level of ranges. Yeah, ultra. There's a you can potentially like double fire in one round, but then there's the risk of jamming. Yeah, ultra ACs are an interesting risk to take with a BattleMech. And then there's the 7K variant. Um, two SRM6s, and the small, medium, and large pulse lasers. It's also got um, double heat sinks to better manage all the heat that will be generated from firing all of those things. I mean, you probably won't end up firing a small pulse unless you get really close. Probably the medium too. Let's say you're probably going to end up using the two SRM6s and large pulse um, most often. So that would be like 18 heat, and then jump for 5, it's 23. 13 double is 26, so you can dissipate 3 heat that way. Alternatively, if you add in the medium and the small, you can overheat by 3 that way. Or you can just run instead of jump and not worry too much about it. Yeah, that's it for the Wolverine variants. So one of the online resources are the BattleTech record sheets for force packs. Um, Stuff like BattleTech Game of Armored Combat, the Essentials, the Beginner Box, um, the lances I've been picking up, like Direct Fire and Urban and all that. Just just go to the site, get the PDF, print out the variant that you want, then print it out, write in your Mech Warrior. I believe BattleMechs start with a gunner pilot of 4 or 5, and then battle value is modified. Um, every improvement to gunnery adds a point 0.2 multiplier to battle value. Every pilot modifier is a 0.05. I'm not sure if that's changed at all, but what we do is you add up all the multipliers together. So let's say you go from a 4 or 5 to a 2 3. That's 0.2255. That's 0.5. So it's a 1.5 times the battle value to have that better pilot and gunner. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I kind of halfway remember about this game, and other stuff I'm trying to look up and make a note of because there's a lot of weird technical shit for this game that's just kind of fun to explore and see what things do. All right, next up is the classic catapult. Two LRM-15s and 4 medium lasers if anything gets too close, which which are going to help because if there's one thing to counter a catapult, it's get up in its face and punch it. So, uh, its two main strategies are hang back and fire missiles, and if things get too close, blast them with lasers. Heat sinks. It has 15, which are enough to um, make use of its jump jets because it has 4 of those. The catapult is a 4.64. So jump somewhere high up safely and blast away with missiles and dissipate a heat if you're overheating. Or run and fire all lasers. Or if you jump and fire lasers, you're overheating by 1, which is not that bad. It takes 5 heat for things to start happening. Uh, so catapult variants, the K2, which I found in a F45 as well, which replaces the LRMs with PPCs. I remember asking our main BattleTech guy about this. Is like, is there like who in the lore uses PPCs instead of LRMs on a catapult? And he said, yeah, House Carita. I guess the K in the model variant code would be a clue to that. It's considerably more heat. It also drops two lasers for machine guns. It's also got more heat sinks to compensate for using PPC, and it drops the jump jets completely. So if it stands still and fires the PPC, it's two PPCs. It's fine. If it's got to move at all, it's going to overheat by that much. Anyway, um, the K2K goes with two ER medium lasers and two ER PPCs. It's got 20 double heat sinks though, so it just doesn't care. It's also got a faster speed. 5.8 instead of 4.6. Yeah, 65 tons of long range. Go the hell away. All right, we've got the Thunderbolts. The 5S is a 65 tonner, so right past that threshold of heavy. It's got SRM2, LRM15, three medium lasers, a large laser, and two machine guns. Oh, yeah, I don't think I brought up the point, but machine guns are good for dealing with infantry. there's there's ways to play with not just the mechs, but also adding crazy stuff like helicopters and artillery pieces, other vehicles and infantry, battle armor, proto-mechs. There's a lot of crazy stuff just beyond the big stompy mechs, but the big stompy mechs are the big appeal of the game. So that's what I have today so far. Yeah. So it's going to have a good amount of ranges to deal with. It's only a 4.6 though, which seems oddly slow. And at 15 heat sinks, firing everything is 18 heat, but realistically it's either firing the LRM and the large laser or not the LRM and everything else. Which at that point is at either point, excuse me, you can run and fire that selection and be at heat zero. It looks like it's got decent armor. Yeah, the bigger the mech, the more likely it's going to be pretty well armored. But you might have someone who decides to make a variant that drops armor and takes lots of big guns. Uh, Speaking of variants, the Thunderbolt 5 SE has four jump jets, finally. Um, but it's down to three medium lasers, a large laser, and an alarm 10. It's also got 17 heat sinks. So it can run and fire everything and not care, or it can jump, fire the alarm 10 and the large laser, and also not care. Actually, if it fires everything, it's adding three medium lasers. So maybe not. 9, 17. Okay, it could fire the large laser and the medium lasers and overheat by whatever movement it went with. So yeah, which is not too bad. Uh, just doesn't seem as impressive. Although I do like the fact that it can jump with that variant. The 7M, no jump jets on this one. LRM 15, Streak SRM 2, 3 medium lasers, 2 machine guns, and an ER large laser. So it's covering all sorts of ranges. It's got 15 double heat sinks. It's probably not going to have a heat problem unless you, for some reason, need to fire everything. It's You're going to find the range you're trying to work with and then go with those weapons. Like if you're going long range, you're going with the large laser or the LRM. You're not thinking about firing anything else. If you're up close, you're firing the medium lasers, the machine guns, the streaks, and you're only firing the ER large if you absolutely need to make sure your target is taking damage. Yeah. All right. The other variant is the 9SE, which puts in the jump jets again. Goes 3 medium lasers, a large pulse laser, and alarm 10. Pulse lasers are a -2 to hit, which makes them more viable at medium range and maybe even long range as well. Yeah. So BattleTech is sometimes called the counting with fingers game, and I remember accidentally flipping someone off because I was like, okay, I need 8s to hit, -2 for pulse lasers, and I put down the wrong fingers to show someone. But it's BattleTech. We're fighting each other. It's gonna happen. It's also got 15 double heat sinks, which 14 and 9 is 23, and jump 4. It could fire everything and jump its full distance and not care. But it's got a lot of critical locations with double heat sinks. You might have to care about heat if those get hit. All right. And that's the last of the Thunderbolt variants. Okay. The Battlemaster, 85 tons. This is a classic assault mech. I keep saying classic, and I need to make absolutely sure. It's like, did is this a mech from like the starter, the old game, or how recent did they come up with this? All right. Battlemaster is a 4-6 with um, 4 medium lasers plus 2 rear-mounted medium lasers. Which, if you're a slow mech, you want to have something to protect your rear arc. An SRM-6, PPC, and 2 machine guns. Looks like. So it's probably going to be spending a lot of time um, keeping some distance with the PPC, trying to even the odds. And then if anyone gets too close, going all in on the lasers, SRMs, and the machine guns. Heats. 18 heat sinks. So that's the PPC and running and maybe firing a couple medium lasers. or firing one SRM6. Yeah. Or skipping the PPC and firing the four medium lasers, the SRM6, and the two machine guns. Machine guns don't generate heat, thankfully, but they're 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 only good for like scratch damage, uh, like two. You know, if you're fighting infantry, there's a question for you. Is like, how often do you play BattleTech with the stuff like the tanks and the helicopters and the or is there none VTOLs or infantry? I'm curious. It's one of the things I kind of miss about MechWarrior Dark Age was seeing, infantry in play. I don't really see much with the BattleTech these days. Yeah. The 3M variant maintains the lasers, maintains the SRM. It drops a machine gun and takes up an ER and it's also over two double heat sinks. 18 double heat sinks. Again, they're critical locations. Someone could shoot them out, but it means better heat management for utilizing um, lasers. And the ER has no minimums, which is nice. It's just a massive heat vampire or heat generator. But with the double heat sinks, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And that's it for the Battlemaster variants. And finally, finally, we've got the awesome. I believe this is actually a classic design, uh, classic mech. Mm. The awesome has three PPCs and a small laser, and a left arm that is wide open for punching people if needed. It is an 80-ton mech. It has a 3-5 movement, so it's slow. It has 26 heat sinks. Oh wait, 28, sorry. If it stands still and is able to fire all three PPCs, it's going to overheat by 2. Yeah, but if it hits with all three of those PPCs, um, hell, even if it hits with two PPCs, it's gonna knock a, it's got a chance to knock the mech on its ass. Every 20 damage you deal to someone forces them to take a piloting check. Um, the con the combined damage is considered for how difficult that check's going to be. So at 20, it's a -1. 40 is a -2. Hit someone with enough damage and like not kill them, there's still a good chance they're going to fall. And if that kills them, then that's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, this is a mech that is best served staying as far away as possible and just shooting. Yeah. Awesome variants. We've got the the 9M goes up to a 4-6, and it's got 20 double heat sinks. Again, they're taking up critical slots that you might need. The regular PPCs are now ER PPCs. So if you stand still and fire your ERP PCs, you are going to overheat by 5. Uh, but it's longer range. Alternatively, for your smaller weapons, you've got one small pulse laser, one medium pulse laser, one streak SRM2, and actually two streak arson SRM2s. One of which is located in the left arm, which is your punching arm. So you got a choice to either fire the SRM or um, use it to punch, or if you're close enough, just kick somebody. Again, you don't want to be stuck up close with this mech ever, but it's nice to have those options. Yeah, and that's it for the awesome variants. So yeah, there's so again, these were the two groups that I made out of the BattleTech, a game of armored combat box, which begs the question: which which lance under which circumstances do you think would actually do better? You know, the Locust Wolverine Catapult Battlemaster versus the Commander Shadowhawk Thunderbolt. Awesome. This is the one thing to remember about this game is a fight should never be one mech versus one mech unless it's Solaris. It should be multiple mechs or a mech and conventional military units fighting each other to make a more it's kind of hard to say balanced, but I think a more comprehensive experience of how a fight should typically go. Anyway, yeah, let me know if you will like switch anything up like between the two. Either the Shadowhawk with the Wolverine or the Catapult with the Thunderbolt, or perhaps both. Anyway, that's those are the those are most of my painted mechs. So now we're going into unpainted mech territory. So I'll be getting around to painting these at some point. Okay, so let's load up the other PDF and all right. So this was the first box of mechs that I went with. Um, the Intersphere Urban Lance. We've got the Raven, the Hunchback, the Enforcer, and the Victor. All right. Start off with the Raven. Raven is a 35-ton mech. It is right at the edge of going from light into medium, but it's still a light mech. It's got this is the 1X model, and it's considered experimental. It has two medium lasers and an SRM6. It's also got electronic warfare equipment. I'm not sure about the rules for that one. I'll have to look that up. It's a 5.8. It's got 12 heat sinks. So two lasers and the SRM6, and running is heat 0. It's 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 a light mech. It's not gonna have much armor in the first place, but again, it's in the vein of the Locust. You're going to be wanting to go as fast as possible to be as hard. But at top speed, that's with one turn, with room to get in one turn. I believe it's only going to end up with a um, three modifier. I think. Yeah, so it's 3, 5, 7, 10 for the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it'll be hard to hit, but it's gonna have to be close to really do anything. The other variant is the standard 3L, which is, geez, they put all the weird technical shit on this one. Two medium lasers and an SRM6 with its 11 heat sinks in running, it's gonna overheat by one. It's also a 6.9, but it's also got freaking Narc missile beacon, Guardian ECM, HAG, Beagle active probe. Why the hell has it got all this crazy stuff for it? It's it's wild. It's the Raven. Yeah. Um, heat sinks, 11 heat sinks. It's running and firing its lasers and SRMs, and it's overheating by one. It's not too bad. So that's Raven. So then we've got the Hunchback. This one I think is a classic Mac. It's good old AC-20, two medium lasers and a small laser. It's a 4.6. Its guns are comparatively short ranged. On a typical one sheet BattleTech map, um, if this is in one of the corners, it's gonna cover that corner, that quadrant of the map. If it's in the center, it's basically gonna deal with whatever corner it wants to deal with. Heat sinks. I got 13 heat sinks, which is standing still and firing the AC-20 and the two medium lasers, or moving and firing the AC-20, a medium, and a small. Yeah, 4.6 is a very slow mech for a 50 ton for a 50-ton mech, but it's meant for operating in an urban environment. Um, well, at least for this lance anyway. Other versions, the Hunchback 5M, uh, well, it's doing differently. The small laser is now a small pulse laser, and it's going with double heat sinks. So it does not care about heat and movement at all, which is good. The small pulse laser is a little bit more heat to it, and it's not that big of a change in battle value. It's I mean, might as well go with a 5M. Let's see. Yeah, it's a tough little guy, but just just good for you know, good for some damage. That AC-20 is gonna put a giant hole in something, whatever it hits. If it hits. All right. Next up, skipped over the Enforcer, but that's all right. Enforcer is a 50-ton mech, and got an AC10, a large laser, and a small laser. 464. That ability to jump in an urban environment is gonna help out. Um, so it's decent, pretty decent range. Okay, armor. Uh, 12 heat sinks is uh, fire everything and then overheat by movement. Considering it's got two long range weapons and a small laser, it's probably gonna overheat by one less than whatever movement you went with. So you can walk and maintain a decent heat and not have an issue. Or you can jump around, risk overheating by a bit. But if you can get in that one turn of getting in, inflicting some damage, and then getting out to dissipate the heat, shouldn't have any trouble. That is the 4R Enforcer. The 5D goes to an ER large laser, an LB10X AC. It has It's got the option for solid and cluster rounds. So it's either putting a giant hole in something or trying to do lots of critical damage to the whatever holes are open in the target mech. Uh, heat sinks 12, which is standing still and firing the large laser, or moving and firing everything else. It's good for longer range. And it's a, oh yeah, the movement's upgraded. It's a 585. So it can move somewhere fast and go with the LB10X. Or hold its ground somewhere and fire the large laser. Yep, that's it for the variants on this PDF. And finally, we got the Victor. If I remember correctly, from MechWarrior 5, it's an 80 tonner. But let's actually click on stuff and you know, yeah, 80 tons, 464 as jumping. Two medium lasers, an AC-20, and an SRM-4. Let's see. It's combined heat of 16. If jump is 20. Versus its heat sinks of 15. If it goes full jump and fires everything, that's it's overheating by 5. So you're probably doing the AC-20 on one round and then the lasers and missiles on a following round. It's it's a tough mech too. Yeah. But yeah, that's the 15 heat sinks for 20, well, 16 heated weapons. If you're standing still, you're only overheating by 1. It's when you start getting into, running or jumping is where it starts to have a problem. Um, that is the Victor 9B, looks like. Yeah. The 9K goes with two medium pulse lasers, an SRM-4, and a Gauss rifle. We have fairly short range, a little bit longer range, and then the sniping range of the Gauss rifle. Um, heat problems. Let's see. If it's firing everything, 8, 12 versus 15. It only You're only having an issue with overheating if you if you jump four. If you jump up four and fire everything, you're overheating by one, which is not bad. Comparative improvement over the other model. So that is the Urban Lance. A lot of big damage, some jumping around, some weird technical stuff. Potentially, it's this is a weird lance. It's interesting that this is the Urban Lance with no Urban Max, but I think this would be an interesting one to try out with like in a city. All right, so that's that lance. Yeah, Urban Lance was the first one I picked up because I figured, you know, fighting in cities and around buildings is gonna be a common, somewhat common environment. A lot of mech battles also happen in like wide open areas with hills and trees and stuff, but it feels like fighting in cities seems to be a recurring thing, at least within um like Warrior Five. Probably because I'm so used to doing demolition stuff and or raids and other things. So being able to just come around a corner and snipe somebody. Anyway, the next lance that I picked up is the heavy battle lance. An emphasis on heavy battle. There's heavy, there's battle, and there's heavy battle. Got the bushwhacker, the axeman, cataphract, and the night star. So let's start out with as ever the first on this great big list. Oh, BattleMechs. We've got bushwhacker. All right. Bushwhacker is a 55-ton mech in a classic design. Say this is among the older mechs out there. I think with Intersphere, most of these mechs are going to be older. Um, the early era of BattleTech. Um, yeah, 55 tons. It's a 5.8, so it can move pretty quick. It's going with LRM, two LRM-5s, an AC-10, an ER large laser, and two machine guns. This is the X1 model. So it's got a good selection of weapons for various ranges, but it's doing a lot of long range um, attack. Heat 11 double heat sinks, and it looks like let's see, yeah, it looks like all the heat sinks are contained in the engine, so that it shouldn't have a problem with getting sniped out of heat management. Yeah, so 22 heat dissipation. That's let's see, 19. That fires everything, runs, and it doesn't care. Yeah, that's kind of a scary thing. They can just it's got all the weapons. It can just run, open fire, and not care about heat. So it's a pretty good design. The X2 arsenal is seriously. They went with three LRM-5s, an AC-10, two machine guns, and two medium pulse lasers. That's because it's dropping the ER large. The heat problem's a little bit better managed, but it's down to 10 double heat sinks, which is 20 heat dissipation. That's It's also going with all LRM-5s, which means minimum range. It's going to be important to manage. 6, 9, okay. Yeah, it runs, it fires everything, it doesn't care. Yeah, it's just a matter of either maintaining the long range for the LRMs and maybe the AC-10, or getting up closer for guaranteeing a hit with the AC-10 and adding in the machine guns and the pulse lasers. Yeah, overall, the Bushwhacker is cool. All right. Next up, hold on. Next up is the Axeman. Look at that axe in business. I always find it interesting when they've got giant fighting robots armed with, you know, actual historical weapons. Uh, I want to see a mech with like a two-handed spear or an naginata or something, or halberd or something. That would just be. It would be odd, but it would be kind of fitting with the idea that mechs are supposed to be like, historical knights types, but in the future. All right. Axeman is a 464, so you can get on top of buildings and cliffs and all that fun stuff. Um, Large pulse laser, three medium lasers, and an AC-20, and the hatchet. Um, when you go to like do melee attacks, you have the option to kick, which is a -2, but you can only hit the legs unless you're one level higher. You can punch, which is like upper body, but uh, there's no modifier to hit other than the usuals. Or you can use your weapon. Um, which will be one less, and I think it uses the full body table. Yeah, physical attacks are interesting. It's a shame that you can't kick in Mech Warrior though, but I understand why. Yeah, just get up in someone's face and drop the axe on them. Anyway, um, heat. 10 double heat sinks. They are all contained in the engine, it looks like. So no risk of losing anything. There's 26 heat from weapons, and potentially 4 from jumping is 30. If you jumped your full distance and fired everything, you're overheating by 10. That's a bit much. So you're probably looking at um, maybe running or jumping and going with the large pulse laser and the IC-20, or getting a little bit closer to go with the medium lasers and also the AC-20, or you get up in someone's face and use the hatchet. Um, for some reason, they put three medium lasers in the hatchet arm. One of the rules for physical attacks in BattleTech, you cannot use a physical attack with the arm that has weapons in it that you fired that turn. So it's either use the medium lasers or the hatchet. That's kind of a I'll say it's a dumb idea. To make have to make that choice. Yeah. Other variants. We've got the yeah. That was the 1N. The 2N um goes with the same stupid mistake of putting the medium lasers in the same arm as the hatchet. Like what the hell? Uh, yeah. Three medium lasers, large pulse laser, two LRM-15s, and a hatchet. It's like if you're giving them LRM-15s and the hatchet, why would you ever get close? So because adding in the minimum range. It's also still a 4.64, 10 double heat sinks. So that's standing still and firing the large pulse laser and the two LRM-15s, or just the two LRM-15s if you're far enough away. We're getting closer, going with the lasers and overheating by movement -1. Um, or just get up in someone's face with a hatchet. It's like all they had to do was put the three medium lasers, somewhere else. You know, why did they have to put the lasers in the same arm as the freaking weapon armor? It makes no sense. But it is an interesting idea of just a mech with a physical weapon. Anyway, the next one is the cataphract. Not to be confused with the um, historical military unit or soldier or something, or the mech from the mech classification from Alt Noah Zero. Anyway, the Cataphract 1X is a 70-ton mech. It's 4.6. It's got two medium lasers out front, rear mounted, yeah, two rear mounted medium lasers, a PPC and an AC-10. So it's going to be working with the long range weapons until it gets up close into the thick of it and has to go lasers. The the one arm it has to punch with has one medium laser. They managed to spread out the medium lasers more effectively, but it means one less laser to fire if you're gonna go physical with them. So heat, uh, 16, 16 heat sinks, which is the PPC, the AC-10, and then you run and you don't care about heat, or you add in one medium laser and then you care about heat by your movement. Or you get up close and just unleash hell with medium lasers out front, out back, and then kick somebody. It's a tough one. But it looks like for a 70-ton mech, it looks like it doesn't have as much armor as it could have. Uh, I don't know about that one. That was a 1X. The Cataphract uh, 3D adds in jump jets, four jump jets. It maintains the medium lasers and switches over to an Ultra AC-5 and an LB-10X AC. So it's got more options to work with at long range, while still maintaining the close range um, backup. Um, the AC-5 is one heat, the 10 LB-10X is two, and it's got 16 heat sinks. So this one's probably less worried about heat at that point. Yeah, it's just a good Good long range mech either way. And then finally, I don't think I ever saw this mech before I picked up this Lance box. This is the Night Star. It's 95 tons. It's a monster. It's heavily armored. It is a 4.6 with two LB-10X autocannons, uh, three medium lasers, and an ERPPC. It's a lot of damage, but it's the ERPPC is the big heat monster of it, and it has 13 double heat sinks, so 26 heat to dissipate. Is so 26. And the ERPPC is 15 of that. The LB10 is another 2, 17. And the three medium laser. Oh, wait, let's see. The ERPPC, three medium lasers, they're 9, it's 24. So the ERPPC and the lasers up close and running, and it's fine. Or it's skipping the ERPPC and firing everything else, and it's also fine. Yeah, it's got a little bit of heat trouble if you add in the LBs, uh, but it's just a lot of damage. Just a lot of damage it can inflict at very close range. That is the 9FC variant. The other it's got here is the 9J, which um, goes with two medium pulse lasers, a small laser, an ERPPC, and two Gauss rifles. Yeah, but it's also down to a 3.5, so it's gonna be stuck focusing on long range until someone tries to close the distance. It's up to 14 double heat sinks for a grand total of 28 heat dissipation, which is the ERPPC, the two medium pulse lasers, the two Gauss rifles, and then movement and effector. Actually, let me count this right. 5, 10, 25, 26. If it's close enough to fire the small laser at long range, it's and it ran to get there. It does not give a damn about heat. Whatever it's standing in front of, better have a good movement modifier, or it is getting torn apart. Yeah, it's a very interesting design, both the physical model and um, the stats. Yeah, this is the heavy battle lance. A lot of interesting choices, a lot of damage to be dealt, a little bit of weirdness, but this is one I want to experiment with. Um, we seem to be mostly doing this kind of Solaris campaign for Friday nights, and if we're not doing the campaign, we're doing these other kind of setup um, matches of like the you kill it, you keep it stuff, or scenarios where I have yet to actually utilize my own match for anything other than maybe as a substitute for playing against someone else that needs to do a fight against an NPC. I want, I got all these mechs. I want to use them. All right, so that's that one. The one I picked up after that one was the Heavy Lance with the Hatchet Man, the Centurion, the Grasshopper, and the Banshee. Yeah. So let's go from the top of the list and start working down to the first one in the line here. Got the Hatchet Man. Yep. Another axe wielding mech. 45 tons. 464, so something. Uh, two medium lasers, an AC-10, and a hatchet. Again, they put a medium laser in the same arm as a hatchet. Like, what are you doing? But thankfully, it's only one of them. Um, yeah, it's mostly in the kind of mid-range of. Although the AC-10's got some distance for it. Heat sinks 11. It can. Uh, it can run and fire everything. It's close enough. Or it can jump and fire two things. Jump and fire the two medium lasers and not care. Or add in the AC-10 and overheat by like um, two. Yeah, overheat by two is not bad. Yeah, it's again. When are they going to learn to leave the lasers out of the leave the weapons out of the melee arm? Crying out loud! But it's all right. Um, yeah, other axe builders that I remember. The Scarabus, which is the mech that I'm running. It's the Solaris campaign. And then, which is also does a smart thing of, keeping the lasers out of the arm with the axe. There's another mech too. I want to say it's like 100 tons. It's in the assault range. I want to say it's the Berserker. I picked up I got this poster of all the BattleMechs um as of Clan Invasion in 3052. So it's kind of a visual checklist of is this mech available yet? I want to say it's a Berserker, but I think it's like it's either experimental or a different era. But yeah, again, wielding physical weapons with a giant robot is interesting. That was a 3F. The Hatchet Man 5S goes with three medium pulse lasers, an LB10X AC, and the hatchet. Again, it has a laser in the axe arm. It's like, why? And only 10 heat sinks. Um, it's, it's either overheating with firing all the pulse lasers, or it's firing everything and jumping the full distance. That's they. Why is the heat problem so bad with the 5S? What were they thinking? I guess I expect only really fire like two of the three pulse lasers. Uh, I don't know. Sometimes they just make mech design decisions that I just don't understand. All right. Next up is the Centurion CN9A. 50 ton, just an all around decent mech. It's got an AC-10, an LRM-10, medium laser out front, and a medium laser in the rear. It's it's a little bit of everything. It's only got 10 heat sinks, so it's you're going to decide on your band of firing for your tactics to maintain your heat. So there's going with the AC-10 and the LRM-10, or the AC-10 and the medium laser. Either tactic you can run and you're fine on heat. If you have to fire the rear laser, you probably I think you can. One of the other words I want to say one of the other weird things you can do in the game is like torso twist and then reach backwards with one arm. So rear medium laser and AC-10 to deal with anyone who's directly behind you. Yeah, it's all right. The alternative, the CN9B, is LB10X autocannon, LRM10 with Artemis 4, and same medium laser setup. It's also a 6.9, so we have a faster mech with better long range weapons, but it still has the same heat problem of only 10 heat sinks. So that's the LRM10, the LB10X, and running in your heat spine. Or up close, firing the LB10 and medium laser. This might be a mech to use to get up in someone's face and punch them or kick them. Yeah, it's it can take a little bit of damage. So maybe getting up close might be a way to go with them. Those um yeah, these two are medium mechs in a heavy lance. So now we go up to the where is it? Grasshopper, which is where we start actually getting into heavy mech territory. The 5H is a 464, so jump is fun. Uh, four medium lasers, one large laser, and an alarm 5. It is operating up close, or it's dealing some damage from a distance. Either way, heat. 22 single heat sinks. Um, some of them are not contained in the engine. They are actually in critical slots in your torso and your arms. So critical damage to either side means less heat to work with. Hilariously, they put the LRM-15 in the head. Yeah, we'll see whole thing. Yeah. So yeah, 22 heat sinks is 20. It can run and fire all the lasers. It can jump and maybe fire one last laser and overheat a little bit, I think. Yeah, 3, 9, 17, 21. So it can jump, fire three Mies in the large, and be all right. Or it's going to go with the LRM and the large for long range and be all right. It's just kind of an odd. It's just kind of an odd mech. The armor seems okay. 20, 30, 20. Seems it seems like it could be better. I don't know. I need to I need to find like the maximum armor for a given tonnage to know for sure. It just feels a little bit low to me. Um, yeah, that's the 5H. The 5J uh goes with two medium lasers, an ER large laser, a streak SRM 2, and an anti-missile system. Yeah. I'm not entirely clear on how the anti-missile system works. I think it's because it shoots down missiles. It struggles with large volumes of missiles. But if it saves you some damage, then it's not a bad thing. But it does generate heat to use it. All right. So heat, it still has 22 heat sinks. They're still occupying critical locations, so it's a risk. So that's firing the ER large, the streak, the two medium lasers, and running and not caring about heat. Or jumping and potentially taking another one or two heat, which is not too bad. You'll probably be running with the large laser for part of the fight, and then actually getting up close towards the end. And maybe finish somebody off. All right. And finally, the Banshee is 95, 95 tons. 95 tons of was this design a good idea or not? The 3E has a 4-6 movement, an AC5, a PPC, and a small laser, which doesn't feel very impressive. I mean, it's if all those weapons hit, that's like it's only 18 damage. That's not much to really knock a mech on its back. Just for an assault mech, it feels very underwhelming. It might be why the battle value is only like 1400 some. 16 heat sinks. So it runs, it fires everything, and it doesn't care. But if it's in range to fire the small laser, it's in minimum range for the other two weapons, which is a problem. Firing at minimum range is a +1 to hit, or -1 to it. It makes it harder to hit by one, and then every hex within is um, another one harder. Yeah. The 5S, however, seems to be like a considerable improvement with um, two medium lasers out front, two rear-mounted medium lasers because you want to protect your back. Two small lasers, an SRM-6, a Gauss rifle, and two ER PPCs. It has 14 double heat sinks, and all of them are comfortably contained in the engine, so you have nothing to worry about for losing heat capacity. It's it can fire the two ER PPCs while standing still and overheat by two, or it can get um, or it can add in the Gauss rifle and overheat by another one. Or it can get closer and make use of the medium lasers, the small lasers, the SRM-6, and then kick someone. Yeah, it's a 19-point kick if it hits, which is an automatic piloting. Yeah, it's the 5S is a huge improvement. It, you'd almost have to take up the 3E variant as a personal challenge. But this is also more a lot more battle value, 2000 plus. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, there's the heavy lance. Decent damage, decent ability to soak some damage in the process. A little bit of maneuverability. It's uh it's all right, I think. Again, I really want more opportunities to test out the mechs that I have. Anyway, last official group, the direct fire lance for the inner sphere. Crusader, Orion, Marauder 2, and the Atlas, which is the whole reason why I picked up this lance in the first place. Because the Atlas is my favorite mech ever. Anyway, start with the Crusader. Back up. It an is a 65-ton mech. Um, this is the 3R version, 4-6 movement. It's got two SRM-6s, two LRM-15s, two medium lasers, and two machine guns. That's quite a good variety of ranges to work with. To start with the LRM-15s and eventually get close enough to make use of the SRMs, the lasers, and the machine guns if needed. Um, it's got looks like it's got decent armor for its weight class. Filled out pretty well. Heat. It only has 10 heat sinks though, is the problem. So it's going to be standing still and firing the two LRMs, or it's going to be getting closer and firing the two SRM-6s, or it's going to be getting really close and firing the lasers and the machine guns. Yeah, this has a heat problem. I mean, if you're depending on what range you're working with, it might not be that big of a problem, but it's a heat problem nonetheless. Yeah, that's a 3R. The 5M goes to Streak SRM-2s, two of them. Maintains two LRM-15s, two medium lasers, one machine gun, one flamethrower, and an anti-missile system. It's going with 13 double heat sinks, and some of them are in critical locations. So 26 heat management participation is it can handle firing a little bit more, which which is good. Oh, this one's got jump jets. The other one did? No. Yeah, this variant has 4 jump jets to add in. So more maneuverability, better heat management, the ability to deal with missiles. Yeah, big improvement. And it only has slightly increased battle value. All right. Next up is the Orion. Oh, When I was a kid, I thought Ryan was pronounced Orion, so I looked like a total friggin' idiot in the gifted program. But anyway, uh, 75 tons, 4.6. This is the Orion K model. It's got two medium lasers, an LRM-15, an SRM-4, and an AC-10. Heat, only 10 heat sinks. What the hell? So that's the LRM-15. Run and maybe fire the AC-10 as well, and be all right. Or get closer and make use of the medium lasers, the SRM-4, and um, overheat by one if running. Uh, Seems like you want to hang back and make use of the LRM and the AC as much as you can. Let's see here. Not change anything armor was. Oh, it's a tough one. Um, the M variant goes with an LRM-20, two medium lasers, an SRM-4, an LB-10X, and NARC missile beacon. I think we were talking about it the other day. It's like, how does NARC work? And it's like, yeah, you shoot it at somebody, it hits a location, and you now have better odds of hitting that location, or all the missiles are going to go to that spot or whatever. I have yet to test that out in MechWarrior 5 though. Anyway, all sorts of fun stuff. Um, it's up to 11 double heat sinks, so 22. They're all comfortably contained in the engine, so you don't have to worry about losing any of them. So 22 heat sinks, and wait, this one doesn't have jump? No, wait, neither of them did. Never mind. So 22 is run plus 20. So they're hanging back with the Dolby 10X and LRM, or you're up close with the lasers and the SRM, or you go within range to make use of all of that, and um, overheats 9, 8, 17, 19. You don't worry about overheating then, actually. The thing with NARC is you have to get close enough to actually use it and then get away to make use of the missiles. Although I believe it also helps your side if they're shooting missiles too. Um, I was looking it up. It's what the Kentaros, but what's originally meant for. Yeah. Just get close enough to fire the Narc and then back up and fire the LR-20. Yeah, it's all right. The Marauder 2 is that big beast. Yeah, I think the original Marauder is like heavy. This one is like 100 tons. It looks like it could it looks like it's meant to hook its legs underneath its torso and put the arms out and then fly around. Uh-huh. I know land air mechs are a thing, but I don't know if anyone seriously makes use of them in regular BattleTech play these days. Anyway, Marauder 2, the 4A variant is um, two PPCs, two medium lasers, and a large laser. It is a 353, so a little bit jumping is nice. 29 single heat sinks, many of which are occupying critical slot locations, and they can be sniped out from area. 29, and that's firing both PPCs and being on the safe side. Adding in the large laser, that's another 8. Um, yeah, the two PPCs and the large laser, and then movement -1 for heat. If you're actually close enough to make use of the medium lasers, there's another 6 heat. If you choose like not to fire maybe skip firing the large laser and fire the two meads. Yeah, two less heat to worry about, and then each shot will do a little bit more damage. But you're gonna have to get close for that. I guess you could fire everything and overheat a bit and deal with the consequences when they come up. Right. The 5A is two ERPPCs, an LB10X AC, and two medium lasers. So this one's still a 353. It's really a long range beast. It still has 29 heat sinks, and they're still occupying critical hit locations. It's gonna be. Just hope your opponent's not like getting the critical hit rolls for their hits. So yeah, standing still and firing two ERPPCs is overheating by 1. It's but that's if they both hit, that's 20 damage. For only 2 more heat, you can throw in the LB10X and do another 10 damage potentially. It's it's destructive, but man, the heat's gonna be brutal. And then finally, we go to my personal favorite, the Atlas, the 4 stories tall. I believe I accidentally referred to when I was like first talking about BattleTech. I think I accidentally referred to it as 40 stories tall. Oops. Yeah, it's got the LRM-20, two medium lasers, an SRM-6, an AC-20, and two rear-mounted medium lasers. It is a 3.5 100-ton mech. The notable feature is the scary ass skull face, which is, um, part of the inspiration for my scary ass skull face. I think this is where my fondness for scary ass skull faces began. Anyway, or it might have been when I watched The Black Cauldron or something. Anyway, you've got the LRM-20 is going to be your main weapon, while maintaining some distance and trying to pick off smaller targets, that are easier to wreck, or just start putting some damage around. Then the AC-20 for when someone gets close enough to put a gigantic hole into, and then go with the lasers and the SRM. The heatsink issue is a whopping 20 heatsinks, some of which are in critical hit locations. So it's going to be either hanging back and firing the LRM-20, or it's going to start moving up and using the um, the AC-20, the SRM, and the two medium lasers out front, and like not caring about heat. Yeah, you'd probably only want to use the LRM if your target is um, basically immobile and you're standing still and you don't care about the heat. But one of the nice things about 100-ton mechs is that a pick from them is a pilot check for, I want to say it's a pilot check for getting kicked and a pilot check for getting 20 points of damage as well. Either it's two checks or it's one check at a considerable modifier. Alternatively, uh, a 10 a 10 damage punch. If you remember, not the fire or medium laser in that arm, um, which can go critical on anyone's head if they're sufficiently armored, or it can just straight up remove someone's head if it's not armored enough. Yeah. Um, Head armor maxes out at 9 points of damage. So a punch to the head is a pilot hit and a critical hit check inside the head, which might also take out the cockpit anyway. Yeah. But this is the AS-7D. The other variant featured here is the AS-7K, which goes with um, the two medium lasers in the rear are now pulse lasers. Um, and then it's got two ER large lasers, an anti-missile system, an LRM-20, and a Gauss rifle. And it still maintains 28 sinks. It is considerably more expensive battle value wise. It's going to be a long range beast, but it's going to be having heat problems if it's firing both ER large lasers. Especially if it's also firing the LRM-20. So you're probably going to be firing one ER large, one LRM-20, and either running or walking and adding in the Gauss rifle or taking the extra heat. Yeah. The fact that it has two ER large lasers, though, um, if you just really need to put giant holes into somebody, you'll probably end up doing with this one is firing the two ER large lasers and the Gauss rifle, which is 25 heat, which overheating by 5 is where things start going wrong. But it's um, gonna put 31 damage into something if all three things hit. Yeah, that'll annihilate lighter mechs or devastate um, mediums. And this thing can soak up a lot of damage too. Yeah, I think both of these can. Yeah, the direct fire lance is a fairly straightforward blast the ever living crap out of your opponent's team. Yeah, I finally have my Atlas. Although this is not the only Atlas I have. Well, I will be getting to that point very soon. With the last group of mechs that I have, what I call the Essentials and the Rogues. So we have the other Centurion from the Essentials box set. I don't need to revisit the stats for it. Apparently, I was looking it up. That Essentials box set is exclusive to Target. So if your local Target still has them on clearance, now's a good time to get one. There's a beginner box set that has a Griffin and a Vindicator, and I want to go get that one. It's, at some point, just because I want to have those models available. But Centurion, the Rifleman. All right, let's go back to the first wave, and yeah, Rifleman is a 60-ton mech. Um, 4.6, originally intended for anti-air support. It apparently did not do its job well enough, but the replacement for it, the Jaeger failed to be a replacement for it, so they ended up building them together. The Rifleman Jaeger mech combo. Yeah. Um, two AC5s, two large lasers, two medium lasers, 10 heat sinks. What the hell? Not enough heat sinks. Oh, it fires both large lasers. It's overheating by 6 if it stands still. If it ran, it's overheating by 8, which is gonna give it a worse gunnery for a round. The safer thing to do is just stick with the ACs, the AC5s, which do decent damage for their heat and their range. Um, I don't know if I've pointed it out before, but it has no lower arm or hand actuators. Mechs that do not have lower arm and hand actuators can arm flip and um, attack targets behind them. I think as long as it's your primary target, you shouldn't have any penalties. But if you secondary a target in your rear, then it's a +2 instead of a +1. Yeah, yeah, it's it's not the best design, but this is the 3N. The other variant is the 5D, which goes with two ERPPCs, two large lasers and two medium lasers, making the heat problem even worse. Which is why they anticipated that and went with 17 double heat sinks. Yeah. Again, unfortunately, the double heat sinks are occupying critical location slots, and because they're the inner sphere double heat sinks, they are gigantic. Um, yeah. But with 34 double heat sinks, that's covering both ERPPCs and running, or two large lasers, two medium lasers, and running. Uh, if you were to fire everything at the appropriate range, both ERPPCs is 30, both large lasers is another 16, it's 46. And the two medium lasers for 6 is 52. And if you ran 54, you fire everything and you overheat by 20, which is um, -4 movement points, ammo explosion check, avoid on a 4 plus, shutdown check, avoid on a 6 plus, and a -3 modifier to fire. That the target you do that to has to be the most Godzilla level threat to to make you do to make you do that. Yeah. But yeah, these were the two essentials mechs. So I want to I want to find the beginner box and pick up the Griffin and the Vindicator. All right. So there's the event this recent Friday was the You Kill It, You Keep It, where you got one guy who assembles and paints these mechs, and part of and the BattleTech League entry fee goes towards him for supplying those mechs. And then everybody gets one at random, and depending on the battle value of the mech, will have Um, Pilot gunner or gunner pilot. Um, that's better if the mech is lighter. So the first mech I ended up piloting was uh, it was supposed to be a Phoenix Hawk, but the representative model was a Shadow Hawk, which I guess was something that just had to happen with the way things were going. I lost that one. Someone else spotted me to join in again because you can pay $10 to jump back in and pilot a new mech, which was the crossbow, which spent a lot of time moving and not as much time shooting as I'd like. But it was because of that crossbow that I managed to eliminate the Hellbringer or Loki. Yeah. Hellbringer is the clan name. Loki's the Inner Sphere reporting name. Because the Inner Sphere is weird like that. The clan have their own interesting names for BattleMechs, while the Inner Sphere has alright names for BattleMechs. The well known reporting name for the Timberwolf of Mad Cat is pretty notable. But yeah, this is an OmniMech. Um, I forget what makes OmniMech special. I think this has to do with their modular systems. But this is a 65-ton mech. This is probably going to be the only actual clan mech in my collection. It is a 5.8 for movement. It's got um, jeez, one anti-missile system, one Streak SRM 6, two machine guns, three ER medium lasers, one targeting computer, one active probe, one ECM suite, two ER PPCs, and four anti-infantry pods mounted in the legs. Yeah. So when you're fighting infantry, one of the things you might have to do is utilize anti-infantry pods and just throw up a crapload of shrapnel and a 15-meter radius. Yeah. This is a weird ass mech. Heat problems. 13 double heat sinks is 26, which, if you heard two ERP PCs, you realize that this mech is going to have a heat problem. And it's got all this other electronic weirdness. It's just, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not sure the guys running it knew what to make of it either. But by now, I get to try to figure out how to make most of it. Yeah. Sadly, I am a filthy Inner player, so I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. But it's an interesting trophy. That's a Loki Prime, or Hellbringer Prime. The Loki A. There's variants for the A, the B, um, and involve different weapons. You know, I've got time. Let's cover it. The A is an ER Mead, two machine guns, one LM-20, an active probe, a NARC, uh, Ultra AC-5, and two ER medium lasers. Again, it's gonna have heat problems for ER large lasers. Yeah. 13 double is 26. That's the two ER larges and run. Yeah. It's slightly better, but still got all this crap for it that's I don't know if it's worth it. The B is two SRM6s with Artemis 4, an ER small, and a Gauss rifle, and a I'll be 5x AC. Um, the biggest heat is going to come from the two SRM 6s, and it still has 13 double heat sinks, which are all safely contained in the engine to not occupy critical spots. Yeah, I guess that's the one thing going for it for um, the other versions is the double heat sinks are safely contained, so there's no sniping them. But yeah, 8, 10, 12, and run for 2. Yeah, this is the low key be no heat problems, no weird electronic shit. It's just a straightforward shooting machine. Yeah, it's again, it's just a weird mech. Anyway, gotta say, is the light working all right on this? I've got yeah. If one moment, there we go. Does that look a little bit better light wise? Yeah, yeah. This is my trophy, and I'm holding on to it. Lastly, is a mech I've already featured, but this is a different model for it. This is the classic Atlas S70. It is from the original line of mechs that they produced for the game. You know, there's a set of two each of 8 different mechs, including this, some others as well. Um, I painted it as a weird camo setup because I'm silly like that. If you think this camo paint job is crazy, um, let me see if I can ever find my old Grey Knights army ever again because holy shit. Yeah, these are the little oddball mechs that I have. Um, I painted these with the other lances in mind because they could, swap out for uh, one of the mechs out of those, maybe shake things up a bit. Yeah, that's that is my current BattleTech collection. I'm going to hopefully that the connection does not screw up. And it's good view. Yep, see everything. Yeah, there we go. Currently at a grand total of 28 BattleMechs. Uh, what I'd like to start doing is picking up things for Battle Force, but if not Battle Force, at least expanding into the other fields of BattleTech military operations with infantry and vehicles and other stuff. Because that is for all of MechWarrior Dark Age's flaws, the one thing I do miss about that game was more emphasis on having to make use of infantry and vehicles and not just the mechs. Giant stompy robots are fun, but also being able to take, you know, a more realistic military approach into consideration is interesting too. Yeah. The actual miniatures, the battle force tokens, and then I think there's one other thing I want to look for BattleTech wise, which is an old board game called Succession Wars, which is horribly expensive because it's out of print and it's tied to a popular um, franchise, which means it's going to be expensive. yeah, I just I just love BattleTech. I love it very much. I'm glad I got back into the game. I'm glad people are playing with me. I'm glad we've got this Solaris campaign going on. I'm also really glad that other people are giving this game a chance. If not playing the game, then maybe painting the models, reading the fiction, really diving into the lore, you know, if not the tabletop stuff, also the video games. I'm glad people are checking out the Mech Warrior 5 stuff. Um, People are talking about the memories of older Mech Warrior games. I'm just I'm just grateful that we've got this great big world of big stompy robots and other military shenanigans and political clusterfuckery. it's 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 a wild universe to explore. It's BattleTech. It's awesome. Do check out more BattleTech stuff. Um, Maybe not the cartoon, but maybe the cartoon sometimes if you're up for it. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be one of the things that is going to help me kind of start coming back to making content for the channel again. So stay tuned for more videos, and maybe eventually I'll get back to streaming. Yeah, stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. This has been Pillar Nexus, and I'll see you next time.